Hi, I'm Jada,
I'm Brandon.
and today we're doing a movie review for Superman, so let's just get straight into it. First up, let's talk about all the characters in this movie, and of course, we have to start with the star of the show, Superman/Clark Kent, and I thought he was absolutely amazing in this movie. He was able to keep up two completely different lives, Clark Kent's this kind of like awkward, nerdy dude that works for the Daily Planet, whereas Superman, he's like the symbol of hope. He's brave, he's strong, calm, cool, and collected. And I really liked his willingness to just always do the right thing throughout this entire film, no matter what was happening. I like to think towards the end of the movie, when all of the final battle was going on, and he literally stopped to save a squirrel. Like, that was amazing.
That was really good.
That was a really
if that's not heroism, I don't know what is.
Man. I know, really good. Moving along, Lois Lane, just fantastic journalist. Really loved her eagerness always to find the truth, to report on it. She definitely was the more serious one with her dynamic with Clark. I think about the interview they had in the beginning of the movie where Clark was getting all upset about all the negative things that people were saying about Superman, and she was trying to, bring him back down to earth and be like, actions have consequences, this is just the way things are, like, you have to deal with it. So she was really great. Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor. Oh, man.
For a lack of a better term, he was a D1 hater. That man was obsessed with Superman. He hated him so much, despite not even really knowing him. And that's a new level of hate. To hate on someone you don't even really know.
It's crazy seeing a bald man get this angry. I feel like I was able to see his whole body turning red. And just the way that he was attacking Superman without even having to really attack Superman, having someone else do the dirty work for him. And yet watching Superman take everything down and him getting angrier because he can't do anything against someone that's, for lack of a better term, someone with godlike abilities. He just has to sit there and watch it happen. Even though he was the villain of the movie, he's definitely one of the most compelling parts of it.
Definitely a really good villain. Definitely helped keep Superman on his toes. That's for sure. Moving along to Mr. Terrific, I thought he was a really cool hero, was definitely the most critical thinker of the Justice Gang, and was definitely the most useful with regards to his technological skills, fiddling with the portals or being their mode of transportation with the big ship that he flew around.
Not to mention just how sassy he was throughout the whole movie. Whenever someone tried correcting him, he would sit there and be like, I'm Mr. Terrific. You don't get to tell me what to do. And because he was smarter than everybody else, and he knew it. He had that kind of power, and he wasn't going to let anyone take it away from him.
Mm-hmm. And then Hawkgirl, I thought she was pretty funny, being the youngest member of the Justice Gang. I thought that allowed for some good interactions between her and the other members. I thought she was really cool. Definitely a girl boss for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then Green Lantern, he was just was a really funny guy. Poor guy, just really wanted support for the name Justice Gang, and he did not get it until Metamorpho showed up at the end.
Only one person gave him the credit that he really wanted. Everyone else on that gang said that's not a good name, man. That's a horrible name. And the way that he uses his powers, him flipping off an entire army using a green construct, he was so entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm. All of the characters in this movie, honestly, were super fun.
I can't say there was a bad character in this movie. Now, the whole thing between Superman and Lois Lane, especially the interviewing part, where she asks if she can interview him as Superman, and he says sure, that he switches his voice, and then him repeatedly asking her to go off the record because he kept messing up, or she would ask him a question that felt a little too personal, like, what's your identity? Or why did you do this? And then he's like, well, Lois, you know that I did this because of this and this and that and that. And she's like, we're still on the record, Clark. Like, all that was just a beautiful scene. Him, as you said, her bringing him back down to earth every time he was getting a little too angry, every time he felt like he was losing his cool. That dynamic was just beautiful to watch. Seeing someone so powerful need someone to bring him back down to earth because of how powerful he is and how destructive his anger can become was truly just something to watch. They made this whole movie significantly better. It was already a good movie, but their dynamic just elevated it. Heading into the plot section of this, let's talk about the beginning. How Superman quite literally starts off getting whooped. In the very first scene, you see Superman getting rocked. There's no better way to put that. He gets rocked so badly that he has to do an emergency retreat back to the Fortress of Solitude, get healed by the sun by 50 magnifying glasses, and then head back into the fight. which he just barely wins because of, what was it, the Justice Gang, where did they come in last second to help him out over there? They come in. We find out what's been planning. The president of Baravia trying to help out Lex Luthor to take down Metropolis, so then Lex can get his whole thing going on. And then Lex brings out his parents' recording after breaking in to the Fortress of Solitude. He brings out his parents' recording and says, his parents essentially say, "Take over Earth. Go ahead and take over Earth for us," which leads Superman into an internal conflict, deciding whether he's being a good person because he thought that's what his parents wanted, or if he's being a good person because he feels like he should just be a good person. Which is an incredibly interesting part of Superman's character, because I feel like if my parents tell me to do something, you bring up your parents' wills all the time. Like, you're growing up with the will of your parents in mind. And then you find out that that's not what your parents wanted at all. They didn't want you to be a good person. They wanted you to take over. They wanted you to be bad. But he's lived so much of his life being a good person that that's just who he is at this point. He is the hero, which leads to a whole lot of fun moments, such as him getting into a huge villain fight, grabbing, what was it, it was like the machinist or something like that.
The Hammer of Baravia. Is that what it's called?
No, it was the girl that like has nanos all over her body. God, I forgot her name.
I don't remember her name.
But I remember that he grabs her and then spins her like 3 times and then throws him off her. So it leads to all these fun moments, and then eventually brings us to the end of the movie, where he gives Lex a very powerful speech about what it means to be a human. Even though that he is an alien, he is still human because of what he believes in. He puts on his shoes 1 foot at a time. He does everything the way that we do it. He faces his own struggles, but at the end of the day, he's still one of us. And I think that's a very beautiful way to end off the movie.
All right. So I really liked the story in this movie and the plot. This was my first like true exposure to Superman. Before, the only thing I had seen was Batman versus Superman and some of the Justice League movies, which visually were very different from this and story-wise. But I really liked the story. I thought it was really fun. You know, it was interesting seeing Superman, you know, he's doing all these heroic acts. He's such a good person, but then society is like, oh no, he's the bad guy. And Lex Luthor definitely was not helping at all. But despite everything that was going on, you know, he kept fighting for what was right and what he believed in throughout the entire movie. There were definitely a lot of like intense moments. Like, I was on the edge of my seat like the entire film, but then there were also some good comedy moments to help lighten up the mood. I think in particular to the scene where Lois and Mr. Terrific are just waiting on that garage door to open. That was a really good scene. I also liked the journalism, like B-side plot that was going on with Lois Lane and all of the other journalists at the Daily Planet as they were trying to expose the shady deal that was going on between Lex Luthor and the president of Baravia. I thought that was really good, you know, seeing like the side characters get more of a focus. But then also, I just really liked the message that this movie had. What you were saying with at the end, his big speech to Lex Luthor, you know, this big message that no matter who you are or where you come from, we're all just people at the end of the day. And there were really good themes of, you know, acceptance, kindness, and, you know, just to be a better person. I thought it was a really beautiful message and a really good story. Moving along, let's talk about the editing / the set design. I thought the editing in this movie was phenomenal. Everything looked beautiful. The CGI looked great. In particular, Crypto, who apparently was fully CGI.
He was?
Yes, I thought they would have filmed at least some of the scenes with a legit dog.
I fully thought there was a dog on the set.
No, they CGI'd. I saw behind the scenes of just David lying there and there was nothing moving his leg. So they did a really good job. They made that dog look very realistic. And the set design was also beautiful with the things they were able to physically build and the things they were able to build in the virtual world, you know, via the green screens and CGI. I also loved the color in this movie. The colors were popping. It very different than the Henry Cavill Superman movies, but it helped to make it feel more like a comic book. So that was really nice. I thought the way that scenes were shot were really good. The difference in camera angles, just like, in particular, I think the fight scenes were orchestrated very well with timing like punches to music and stuff. I thought that was really cool. And overall, everything in this movie just looked fantastic, especially the superpowers, like the flying scenes and the laser eyes and, you know, Green Lantern and all the stuff he had going on. I thought the editing in this movie was fantastic.
I think I have to really say the same, but what really stuck out to me was the coloring because I feel like in a lot of not just the Henry Cavill movies, but like I feel like a lot of modern superhero movies, a lot of them have really dull colors. They don't really pop out. A lot of them have colors where, yeah, the character wears those colors, but they're so much darker that it feels like they're trying to make it more realistic, more modern. When the whole point of superheroes is that they're not real. They're not real and make it out so they're not real. If you want a black and white movie, go watch a Batman movie or something like that. You're here to watch Superman though, and James Gunn made sure that you were there to watch Superman. And like the blues, the reds, oh my god, the laser eyes were so good. The laser eyes were beautiful.
Really cool.
Everything about that movie was so vibrant, so colorful. It felt Superman because it felt hopeful. All those colors felt more hopeful than they would have if they were just more dark toned. And I feel like that really shows the difference between James Gunn and what's it called, Zack Snyder's films, where Zack Snyder's films were trying to be more rooted in our world, while this James Gunn film was trying to show Superman himself. Fight scenes in this movie, man. The fight scenes in this movie, there's one specifically that's coming out to me. It is the Mr. Terrific fight scene.
Same.
That
Real.
fight scene with the song in the background, 5 years. Oh my gosh, it's so comic book that it made me like jump out of my seat. Like I sat there and I was like, oh, this is so dumb. I love it. Him using his orbs to take people out and then showing just how strong he is himself by actually punching through the armor to like knock them out. Oh man. And it showed how smart he was too, because like I wouldn't have been able to do that with all those orbs. I wouldn't have been able to like move around as efficiently. I would have bumped into them at least once. Not only that, but a fun fact that I found out, something that I found out through looking through social media was that he was the one playing the music. Like everyone else was able to hear that music because when you stepped into the dome, it muffled. So everyone else was hearing the music that he was playing. He just had that to hype himself up the entire time. And I think that's just a really funny piece of character lore for him. I feel like every Superman fight scene was interesting because, like, with someone so powerful, you need to have interesting fight scenes to go with it. Him finding out that you can take like a punch or something is really funny because then he just uses his abilities to do the silliest stuff ever. Like, once again, he grabs her and then spins her around like a top and then throws her off. What's it called? Him going against Ultraman and then the laser beaming into the eyes. Oh my gosh. And then that little fight scene with Crypto where Crypto threw someone up towards him and he punches them and the camera zooms in on the person that's punched and they lose a tooth. And he keeps fighting with Crypto. Like every fight scene in this movie was just a sight to behold.
Yes, I agree. I thought the fight scenes in this movie were orchestrated very well. And my favorite fight scene, like you said, was the Mr. Terrific battle. You get this third-person POV of Lois inside the dome as he's just ransacking these guys while the most cheerful and upbeat song is playing in the background.
Happiest song, man.
Fun. Bro was having a great time. The pocket dimension battle I thought was really cool. There was a lot of fun stuff to look at with like the portals and like the galaxy and like the black hole that was trying to suck him in as he's trying to save like this baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a really good one. The Justice Gang versus the Baravian army. Green Lantern, he was having fun. I liked all his little visual gags that was going on with his powers, the punching them, flipping them off, all of those things. And then obviously any battle with Superman, especially the one where he's battling all those guys at the end in the sky, dude loses a tooth, or when he's fighting like the copy that Lex Luthor made of him. Honestly, all of these fight scenes were orchestrated very well. They were shot very well. I liked the different camera angles and the music that went along with it. The fight scenes were awesome. Moving along, let's talk about the acting in this movie. Everyone did a phenomenal job. Of course, we have to start off at the start of the show. David Corenswet as Superman/Clark Kent. My favorite thing that I keep seeing online is people are convinced that James Gunn took a comic, shook it, and David Corenswet just fell out. Because he really just is Superman.
He embodies it so well.
He was the character. He put a lot of love and care into it. He did a really good job of making Clark and Superman feel like two different people, despite them being the same person. He put a lot of emotion into that performance for sure. I think of the final speech at the end where he's talking to Lex Luthor. That was the emotional peak of the movie, and I thought he did a really good job acting throughout this entire thing. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Great villain. I hated that guy the entire movie. D1 hater.
And that's exactly why it works so well.
That's why it works so well. He did a really good job portraying him, that he made him that convincing that this bald man on a screen was making me mad in my seat. Did a really good job. Put a lot of emotion into his performance for sure. What?
Oh man.
Fantastic job as Lex Luthor. Rachel Brosnan as Lois Lane. I thought she also did a really good job just embodying, that journalist mentality and just always wanting to find the truth, report on it, trying to help out Superman / Clark Kent. She did a really good job acting. And honestly, every actor in this movie did a phenomenal job at portraying the character that they were cast as. I thought everyone did a really nice job.
I gotta agree. I don't know the names of the Justice Gang off the top of my head. I do know that Mr. Terrific's actor was in an X-Men film in the past, and they did his character really badly in that film. So I'm glad to see just how good he was in this one, because I feel like he did good as a superhero, and then putting him into this one just shows how good of a superhero he is. Because every time that I saw Mr. Terrific on the screen, I was like fully immersed. I was already paying attention, but when he showed up on the screen, I was like, "Oh, what's he gonna do this time?" Because every time he showed up, he would take the show. What's it called? Green Lantern took that cockiness to a whole new level, and it was so fun to watch. It was so fun to watch just how cocky someone can be, and yet how insecure he was at the same time over like very silly things, like the name the Justice Gang. Him being super insecure about it, being like, I thought it was a cool name. Why is everyone hating on me? Fun to watch. Hot Girl, did not see much of her. I feel like they could have done more with her. I feel like what they did do with her was still fun to watch because she was, as you said, she's the youngest, but she acted like she was the youngest, which was really fun to watch. They didn't make her super mature or anything like that. They made it so it's like, oh, she's new to this. We're gonna make her act like she's new to this. She was very, not irresponsible, but I do feel like her grabbing the president of Arabia and then just dropping him.
You wouldn't drop me. You wouldn't do it. You want that?
And her doing it anyways, because it probably would have worked with like any other superhero. But she's new. She's the youngest one. You don't threaten someone like that when they barely know what they're doing. And of course she's gonna do it. The easiest way for me to compare her is saying that she's like the human version of Crypto, because Crypto was also super irrational the entire movie, super high energy. That was just her, and it was very nice to watch it. And then, we didn't even talk about her. Supergirl showing up in the Indian movie. She didn't do much. She didn't say much, but I feel like what she did say, her finding out that she was out partying on a completely different planet, was enough characterization for me to be very hyped for the movie that's supposed to come out next year for her, from also coming out from James Gunn. So I'm very excited for that one. I feel like her characterization, while short, gave me enough to be like, I need to see more of her. Now, we can't go this far without talking about the costuming in this movie. The costuming in this movie, I am so happy to say that it was great, the entire movie. I feel like the one thing that a lot of people were scared of when this movie was coming out was, how's the main headliner going to look? How are we going to make Superman look in this movie? Because a superhero's costume is really important to how you feel about the superhero in general. And I'm so happy that they added the goofy trunks that he wears. It's so silly to look at, but I feel like it's a very silly Superman. And it was so nice to see just how he looked. I like how the Justice Gang all had the same jacket on, and they were all inspired by Mr. Terrific's jacket. I feel like it was a really nice touch. I feel like even the more human characters, like Lex Luthor, he always had some kind of suit on. Whether it was just a vest or even when he was going to the Fortress of Solitude, he had like a full fur coat on. He never went anywhere without looking posh because he's rich. He's rich. He has the money to do all that.
He was dripped out. For sure.
Dripped out all times.
Dripped out all times.
You were never going to catch him lacking. Meanwhile, the reporters of the Daily Planet, they all had... There's no better way for me to put this other than they look like reporters. Like, I could look at them and I'd be like, that's a reporter. Yeah. Yet they wore such vibrant clothes that I was like, that's a reporter. In the Superman world. Like that's a reporter, but like they look really happy to be a reporter. Everyone's clothes were on point. There's no other way for me to put that. And then Supergirl's clothes, which is basically like even they had the same shirt. She had the same shirt as Superman, but the what's it called? The little skirt that she had
Mm-hmm.
was really pretty. I feel like it distinguishes the two very well with her wearing that instead of just because they could have very easily just set her up in the same costume, the whole like onesie situation that he has going on. But instead they made it so she wears a skirt. The skirt goes really well with her character being a more free spirit than we see Clark Kent being in this movie.
Yes, I agree. I thought the costumes in this movie were fantastic. Superman's costume, it was so vibrant, comic accurate. It it was beautiful, honestly. I liked the contrast of colors between the red and the yellow and the blue in the costume. I also think the makeup department and the costume department did a really good job of visually making Clark Kent and Superman look like two different people. You know, you have Clark Kent, he's got this bigger, poofier, curly hair. He's got his glasses on, you know, his suit and tie, ready to go to work and start reporting. Whereas Superman, you know, he's got this like skin tight, you know, superhero costume, this big flowing red cape. He's got this slicked back, gelled hair
With the one curl.
with the one curl. It was perfect. Mr. Terrific. I also really liked his costume. It was comic accurate from what I've seen. I liked the contrast of the black, the white, and the red. Hawk Girl's costume. I really liked that one. I thought it was a nice reimagining of the original costume. You
Yeah.
know, the big hawk helmet and the ginormous wings, really making her look like a bird, was really cool. Green Lantern. Very different than the Green Lantern I was used to because I was like, Guy Gardner, what is this? Because I didn't know what that was. But it looked good. And I liked how him, Terrific, and Hawkgirl, all of their costumes matched. Because they all had like the same like color block scheme going on. They had the same like leathery material, which helped to visually distinguish them as like a uniform group, as the Justice Gang. And like you were saying, like the civilian looks, Lex Luthor dripped out of his mind. Lois Lane, all the reporters just ready for another day at work. The costumes were amazing in this movie. Now let's talk about the soundtrack of this film. And the soundtrack was phenomenal. There was such a nice variety of music that was used, but every song they used went perfectly with whatever scene they were filming. All the epic music that was used in the fight scenes was really cool, or the more like emotional songs that were used for the more like powerful moments when he's giving his speech to Lex Luthor, or even the more upbeat and fun songs like the one that was played in the credits, or my favorite, 5 Years Time, from the Mr. Terrific battle on that
fight
beach.
scene was so good.
It was so good. He was having a jolly old time. All his hits were going in beat with the song. It was just every song on this entire soundtrack was perfect. It really helped make the movie. I was fully invested. I was in the world of Superman. I felt like I was there. It was really good.
I feel like same idea for 5 years time. Really fun song. The song at the end is Punk Rocker, I believe, which is I like that song because he brings up how he is a punk rocker. Like that whole scene between him and Lois being like, I'm punk rock. I'm punk rock too. And she's like, no, you're not. He's like, yes, I am. And then that song playing at the end was just a really fun touch from James Gunn. I think that Superman's theme specifically inspires hope. Like hearing that song in a theater, like if you didn't get to watch it in theaters, I feel like hearing that song is what you're missing out on the most. Because hearing that from all the speakers when he's giving his speech was beautiful to witness.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. It's so him, and it was so nice to watch. It was so nice to listen to. And then, fun fact: if you go on Spotify, you look up Superman's soundtrack, they will equate you to a character and give you a soundtrack based on that character, which is something that I found out like last week.
Cool.
Yeah, that was fun. That's a nice little touch from James Gunn. James Gunn's phenomenal. His choice for music and everything like that. There's a reason that people love the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy so much, and he brings that energy over to DC, and you can really tell that he's having the time of his life with these movies. So based on everything that's been spoken about, based on everything that I feel about that movie, especially that final speech, because as someone who can relate to it a lot, it hit me hard. Like I shed a tear watching that. It hit me really hard. All this in mind, I gave the movie a solid 9.5. I feel like the only thing that it suffers from is that like they didn't do enough with the Justice Gang specifically. I feel like they focus a lot on Superman and Lois Lane and all that, but the side plots with the Justice Gang and the Daily Bugle feel like they could have been fleshed out a little bit more. Daily Planet. Daily Bugle's Spider-Man, yeah. My fault. The side plots that they could have with the Daily Planet and the Justice Gang could have been fleshed out a little bit more, which is why I'm not giving it the perfect rating. But I still think it was a really good movie, especially for James Gunn's first movie with the new DC universe that he's trying to reboot, with everything else being scrapped and him starting fresh from here, and with the Peacemaker show that he works on, I'm pretty sure. Like, I feel like this is a really, really, really strong start for him for everything that's gonna come in soon. So I feel like a nine to 9.5 is where I'm gonna place this one.
Mm-hmm. I thought I thought it was really good. It was my first introduction to Superman, and after seeing this film, I want to know more about him. He's easily becoming one of my favorite superheroes, and for that, I have to give it a 10 out of 10. I really liked this movie and cannot stop thinking about it ever since I saw it back in July.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good movie.
I'm rewatching it the moment I get home. That movie was so good.
It's so real. Thank you so much for watching our movie review of Superman. Stay on the lookout for more content from ENTV, and we'll see you in the next one.